This is Sean, the EV Bloke here, back with another video. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done my last one, and yeah, just to kind of update you with things, and just to go over a few things that are worrying me a little bit with in terms of electric, or the future, I'd say, of electric vehicles. There's been quite a lot of other YouTubers raising up this point actually about the future of electric vehicles, so I'll get into that in a minute. But first of all, before I go into any of that, I just want to give you updates on the car. It's actually running really well. I still have problems with temperature control, basically. So essentially, if I stop anywhere, pull over, stuck in traffic, it just heats up. So it's booked in to have that looked at. I don't know if you're getting that same. It seems to me as if it's scavenging the cool air that would be coming into the car, is taking it to the battery, because once you get running along on the road, get up to speed, doing your normal speed, 60, 70 on a motorway or whatever, it's fine. The temperature drops and it's kind of nice, but it's actually quite unbearable when you're stuck in traffic. So that's going to be booked in to be done. So I'll probably do a video to that, and we'll link in how that all transpires and unfolds. So that's that. But yeah, outside of that, I still don't have radio stations on here. I've spoken to them about it, and they said, well, when you book it in, we'll have a look at it. So they're going to look at it. I say I've got no radio stations, I do, but some I don't have. And it tends to be the ones that I like that actually are not working. So that's a bit of an issue. But as I say, as I showed you in my last video, I've got the memory stick now, the USB stick, and I just put music on that and just play that when I'm going along for music wise, and then just stick on a talk radio or something if I want to get, know what's going on in terms of news and stuff. Summer charging speeds, I'm seeing the full maximum charging speed most of the time now, at least up to about 40%. Then it tails off, sort of goes down to sort of 60-ish for a bit. But even at the top end, from 90% up, so I do a full 100%, I'm still getting about 33 kilowatts is the highest I've seen. But that's what I roughly get, even in that situation. So that's not too bad. So in the summertime, it's actually quite manageable. Actually, that's probably down to around about a 45-minute charge from a low state of charge up to 100%. That's not too bad. I mean, I can kind of deal with that. It's still a bit slower than you'd obviously want. But let's move on now to the future of electric vehicles as a whole. And what I have a major problem with, I guess, on this is to see that obviously we have a new government now. They've put the 2030 ban of sale of all combustion cars by that point, and hybrids to 35, but essentially going all electric by 2030. That's 6 years away. So you might think to yourself, well, that's a fair bit of time. Now, let's go over some of the things that I think are happening and are quite good, and then we'll go over some negatives that I think are going to be the stumbling blocks unless they're dealt with, unless they can be changed, unless they can be eradicated, unless there can be some kind of almost subsidy from the from the government, like say in America they do. They have a £7,500 $7,500 tax kind of allowance to put towards an EV. So there's a little bit of a traction on that. Where right now here in the UK, when we used to have a bit, we have nothing now. Even the road tax is going to be changing next year, I believe. So we'll have to start paying road tax. That was the little incentive we had there on that one. So what's the landscape that's happening with electric cars as I see it? Now, I've watched a few videos on this, and I agree with some points some people are making, and I disagree also with some points that some people are making. And I guess the question is really, are electric cars the future, and are electric cars going to be... I have to open this window a little bit because it's starting to get warm in here now. Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't create too much noise, hopefully. In terms of the future wise, it's a kind of yes and no for me at the moment, and there's a few problems that I'm seeing coming along here that need to be addressed. One, as I've mentioned in 1,000 videos, is price. So price really needs to be gotten on top of, because if they're going to be 8 to 10,000 more expensive than their combustion counterparts, which they generally are, then that's the first negative that's going to be really there. But I guess what you've got to look at is what is actually going on in the UK with how we acquire our vehicles. Not a very high percentage of people buy vehicles anymore. Just go in and buy a brand new car. There's the money, there's the cash, and drive off, and it's your car. Very few people actually really do that now. Cars depreciate very quickly. So the two main ways that I see the UK acting, at least in this regard with new vehicles, is leasing them, which I think is number one. So either on a 3-year lease where you have the vehicle for that period and you hand it in and go for another one, or you do a PCP and you have the vehicle and then look to purchase it at the end of that lease, whatever, and or hand it back and pay the balance. That's your options, really. So, and of course, the other way is by the employment scheme, whereby you pay substitute through your employer, and it's kind of almost like a lease, really, anyway. And that way is also working here in the UK. But I wanted to just go over a few things that I'm starting to notice, because I do actually have a Motability vehicle, as most of you know. And so I wanted to just highlight some things here regarding to that. So sorry, I'm looking down at the moment. I'm just getting the phone open because I've got it open on the page here. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to give, this is not really for Motability purposes, but this to give you a picture. Because if you think about people who are on Motability, there's one or two things you can look at here. It's that people are across the spectrum in terms of what they can afford and maybe what they can't afford, as is the same with everybody, really. We're all affected by the cost of living crisis. But I just wanted to give this end of things to see what's being expected of people who maybe are claiming Motability, or on the Motability scheme, entitled to be on the Motability scheme, and therefore getting their cars and everything, getting their cars through that way. Now, even on Motability, there's a big push to electric. If you go on their website, it's always, have you thought about transitioning to electric? The same as if you walk into any garage now, they're going to push the electric car, because that's the future. They have to sell a certain amount a year or they get fined, and it's so-called the future. The government is also putting in lots and lots of initiatives for garages to operate that way and for dealerships to operate that way. So I just wanted to go over a little bit of the types of vehicles that are available on Motability from the electric point of view, and then look at what they have to pay in terms of advance payments, because Motability works on an advance payment system. So some cars may have zero advance payment, so you don't have to pay anything up front for the vehicle, and the money that you get from the government is taken off your allowance and it goes straight to paying for the car. That's traditionally how it works. But with electric cars, more often than not, there is going to be some kind of, because the price of the vehicle, as the more expensive the vehicles are, the more advance payment you would have to pay, as an example. So I just want to go over some cars here. So there's 204 cars at the moment that you can get on Motability. That's not 200 makes of car. That's 200 cars, but some of those cars will have different models in the actual same make, if you know what I mean. So so we have to get that clear. But so on the first page, so this goes from the cheaper cars to the more expensive. You've got things like a Citroen C4, which is 2,000, well, it says from zero to £2,995. The Renault Megane, which is the cheapest I've seen on here, really, if I'm honest, which is actually quite a nice car, the E-Tech, is 0 to 395. So if you go for the top model, that's the top of the range car, etc., that will be 395. You pay on that one. The Mazda MX-30, don't bother with. If you're looking for an electric car, do not go for a Mazda MX-30. Sorry, Mazda, but it's just not up to it. It's got about 124 miles range, and you're forever charged. It charges really slow. It's a compliance car, I would say, really. The good old Nissan Leaf is still very reasonable, but I think they're going to be discontinuing that soon. That's 0 advance payment up to 299. So let's get up into, because there's like 6 pages of this. So let's kind of go for page 4. So we get into the middle bracket of where we'd be and start looking at their prices. So a Lexus UX would be from £1,495 up to £3,449. The Skoda Enyaq goes up to 299. MG5 is just 1,499, so there must just be one availability on that one. The Smart Hashtag 1, a car I really like, is from 1,749 through to 2,049. The Volvo EX30 is 1,900, 2,000, and similar to the Nissan Aria. So you're getting a feel for this. You're going to be looking at between £2,000 and £3,000 advance payment. And now we can go to page 5. We're going to the really higher price ones. The Mini Countryman is £7,000 on the top spec of that. The Hyundai Ioniq 6 is 5,549. The BMW iX1 is 7,000. I mean, you can get really decent second-hand cars for these prices. Now, don't forget, with the Motability car, you'd also have to probably look at adaptions. So you're going to have 1 or 2 things that you have to pay for extra inside. Now, you can get some grants to help you out, to be fair, with some of these things if you have to. But essentially, now why do I bring up all that about Motability? Well, because we've got to look at everybody that's going to be transitioning, and Motability is just one part of it. But the thing is, for electric cars to actually work, they have to be affordable, and this is the issue that I'm seeing with electric cars: is are they going to come down sufficiently enough to realistic prices where people are going to actually pay? Because the higher the price of a car, the more you're going to have to pay a month. So even if you're going to take out a 3-year lease on it, you're still going to have to pay some kind of deposit, and you're still going to have the car for the 3 years, and then you're going to trade it back in. Maybe you're going to have to pay a difference, or you're going to carry on with another car. But the essentiality here is they've got to be affordable for it to work, otherwise it just isn't going to work. Now, from the car's point of view, I have no doubt and no problem or issue with thinking that the cars will be more than ready by 6 years' time. I think the routing system in the car, where it routes you to chargers, will probably be fine by then. I think the battery sizes we'll roughly know a good size battery. I think battery speeds will improve. I think even on this BYD Atto 3, which is on the slow side, as you know, they'll probably be ending up doing 150 kilowatts is the capability they'll have on them, I reckon. Some of it's all to do with, of course, the longevity of the battery and battery protection, and they obviously, fast charging is obviously a way that these things can degrade. But if electric cars are really going to work, they're going to have to, one, be affordable. So I've been saying this for quite a while now, and I don't see the prices of them coming down. In actual fact, from a Motability point of view, they're actually going up by quite dramatic amounts as well. So, you could get a lot of 0 advance payment cars on there, where that's becoming a rarity now, 1 or 2, but mostly you're going to have to be putting 1,000 plus down as just an advance payment, plus having the money you're paying every month going out. So that's a big issue. The other big issue for me is on charging for people that don't have a home charger. 43% of the population will not have access to a home charger. This area is like a desert. I mean, it's just nowhere near enough going into that. We need a lot more charging infrastructure for that. We're beginning to start sorting ourselves out with fast charging. I think in a lot of cities now, most people will say, "Oh yeah, I can actually get a charge." There's always somewhere where you can charge and get a reasonable speed out of it. And I think even with Gloucester, which I think has been behind some other cities and towns, we're getting there now on that way. We still need more, but it's going in the right direction. But I don't see anything on some kind of charging where to make terraced homes be able to charge, whether it be lampposts outside, whether it be these wires that go under the pavement where they can make a line so that there's not a trip hazard, and come up on a little post or something outside someone's house so that they therefore can still plug in, kind of thing, or whatever solutions there are out there. They do not seem to be hitting the market. Now this is where councils have to come in, of course. They have to take their brunt of this. They have to be involved. And at the same time, we also need to see just a lot more opportunities and making things a lot more accessible for people. Because in 6 years' time, if we are expected to be all electric, those kinds of things need to be well in place. And I don't see hardly any movement on that. So that's a big barrier. So when people say, do I think electric cars are the future? As an EV bloke, of course, I'm going to say, well, yeah, but it's a big caveat to it. And there's a big issues to it, especially by 2030, in that, will we really be ready to just kind of everyone go into that kind of transportation? We need loads more of all sorts of charging. And I would say if you've got a home charger, or you have the ability to have a home charger, and maybe you're looking at a lease still for an electric car, there's a lot of good cars out there now, and it will, over the course of your 3-year lease, if you're leasing one, be cheaper than petrol. It really will. With using overnight tariffs and like Octopus Go and all these kinds of things, you can actually use it to your advantage. So there's a lot of good things to be said about that. So I don't see any issues there. But of course, it's for also the 43% that don't have, like myself, a home charger. What solutions are there going to be in between now and 2030 where everyone can get into an electric car and say, look, I'm here, this is, and be able to use the facilities either in their local area, where they can go where the car can be put onto a slow charger, they can charge overnight safely, and there's going to have to be lots of thoughts go into how that works out. And then, of course, the price. They're expensive to make, they're expensive to produce en masse, and China may well be, where this car's from, of course, may be a help to this. I don't know, because they're going to be so competitive. They'll either swamp the market, or the rest of the market will have to come in line with them. And we're starting to see 1 or 2 cheaper models coming around now, but nothing near on the scale that we need to see a real transition to electric vehicles. It is still much cheaper to buy a petrol car. It's just as simple as that. It really is. And that's to people who maybe don't even want to go electric anyway, but feel like they're being forced into it by government policies that are saying, well, by 2030, it's going to be all electric, or nothing. Now, this government will be in power, if they was to stay the full term, till 2029. So whoever comes in 2029 could change the whole thing. But I would imagine by then things will be so far down the track that it will almost be too late to make too many changes to that, I guess, because things will be well in place. But it's possible to get all these things up and running. We've seen with Norway, they've done it over a few years and managed to get, and they're going virtually 100%. They will be 100% electric by next year, and they've done a lot of great things there. If you watch any videos on Norway, you'll soon find out what's going on there. And I mean, it's just it's amazing what they have managed to do. But we're still in the business of this cars being very expensive, and we need cheaper cars, and I think we need to actually get away from the SUV vehicles in some respects, because the SUV, do people really need these large vehicles? I mean, can they do with something smaller? I don't know. I'd love to put around and you see the brand new Renault 5, the outgone now Honda E was a beautiful car. Just little town cars. is what I like to see more of, really. Everyone has their own needs, of course, but these big heavy things, I don't know what the future is on that, but certainly something has to happen. But I just wanted to share this with you anyway, to sort of give you the extent of where we are with where I think we are anyway in terms of with electric vehicles. So I suppose in summary, electric cars are the future, and we will definitely go that way. Whether it be by 2030, that's what I'm not sure of. And I think a lot of fake things have to happen, either subsidy from the government to encourage people into electric vehicles, which we don't have right now, really. Other countries do and have had all the way through their transitioning period. You can't just say to everybody, well, by 2030 we want everyone in electric, but then they're twice as expensive as everything else. They're not the infrastructure there. What are people who can't charge at home going to do, etc., etc., etc. So we need to see a lot more changes, I think, really, in order for that to happen. It could happen. I don't think it will, not by 2030. I think that's where I'm sitting on this. Anyway, thank you guys. In upcoming videos, I'm going to be doing another video on the V2L. So we're going to go over that again. I did mention this in one of my last videos. I'm going to be going on holiday for a week soon. So I don't know whether I'll get anything done before I get back from that. I'll try to if I can. Oh, by the way, thank you very much to one of my very early videos, for all those that have watched it, which is basically on the infotainment system, really. And I just went through a walkthrough of how the entertainment system works and everything. And it made it onto the first page of Google. And it's had just shy of 10,000 watches, which for a small channel like mine, and by the way, also, thank you again, I'm at 400, well, last time I looked, I was at 400 subscribers, so thank you very much for all those that have got me there to that figure. So now it's up to 500, please, if we can do it. Please like and subscribe the videos if you'd like to see more content. I appreciate, I do appreciate all your input and feedback as well. But anyway, in the comments down below, let me know what you think about the future of electric. Do you think it's really going to hold itself? Do you think it's going to actually happen by 2030? Do you reckon it's going to take longer than that? Do you think they will sort out the issues with charging for those that can't charge at home? Are we going to see a lot more, like in car parks and stuff, as example? Starting to see a bit of this now. If I go down to Bristol, there's a lot of car parks now where there's lots of bays for you to just pull in and charge. Excuse me, while you're shopping. But lots of things like that need to happen if it's going to be effective. Anyway, thanks a lot. Catch you on the next one. And yeah, keep driving.